With Evil Dead Burn coming out this week, I think it's high time we go ahead and finish covering this franchise. All we've got left is Evil Dead Rise, which was directed by Lee Cronin. It's the first to start this verby sequel naming scheme. It fits into the Deadite family pretty well, tons of gore, lots of dead, not dead people, and, well, okay, very little Ash. My name is Casey and welcome back to my channel. We've been covering all the Evil Dead movies in anticipation for Evil Dead Burn, which is coming out pretty soon. We finally made it all the way to Evil Dead Rise, which is the most recent movie up until this point. We're going to recap the movie and then we're going to see where it ranks on the Scream scale, which of course is a system designed to rank horror movies based on how likely they are to make you scream. This movie starts with a drone shot, very a la Evil Dead 1981, and an introduction to characters who have traveled to our... wait. What was that? We get this triangular, midsummer-themed cabin in lieu of our usual ramshackle one. We meet Jessica, Caleb, and Teresa, and Jessica, who is maybe the only one who matters, but unfortunately, we don't really get to have a conversation with her because due to an illness, she's currently passed out. However, she does wake up to recite Wuthering Heights. I wonder if that's the Jacob Elordi version she's reading. In typical Deadite fashion, she begins to vomit before attacking all of her friends, and we get a top 10 title card before the film decides to run away to the past. Now we follow Beth, a band groupie, guitar technician, who is taking a pregnancy test in the world's most graffitied bathroom, and it is not good news for her. Beth, unsure of how to proceed, visits her sister and her 3 kids in their apartment. Ellie, tattoo artist, is mother to Danny, DJ, Bridget, teenage activist, and Cassie, doll sadist. It's a family with variety, what can I say? The apartment is actually a great change of pace, even though I still love the cabin in the woods deal. It leads to some pretty fun moments. We also meet the neighbors who are having a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon, and also give us the super cool shot. Anyway, back to Beth, who tries to jump scare her sister but gets smacked in the face. Ellie explains to her sister that the apartment complex they're staying in is being knocked down in a month, and she still has not been able to find a new home for her and her kids. She's probably too busy dealing with the fact that her and her boyfriend or husband, I'm not really sure, broke up, and her sister couldn't even bother to pick up the phone in her time of need. So whenever Beth brings him up at the family reunion, you can guess that things get pretty awkward pretty quick. And Ellie sends her kids away to get pizza before explaining what happened between her and her boyfriend. Beth tries to explain that she was too busy on the road, but Elle doesn't really buy it. She tells Beth she can stay with them tonight, but after that, she's out because she's busy trying to ready for their move. Beth finally listens to the voicemails from her sister, but she can't even be bothered to listen to the whole thing before turning it off. Seriously, like, what is up with Evil Dead and these awful sibling relationships? Ellie asks Beth why she turned up unannounced, and Beth tries to explain before getting silenced by an earthquake. Speaking of the earthquake, or quake as our characters affectionately refer to it as, it totally ruins pizza night, getting the kids stuck in the car garage where we see a conveniently placed wood chipper and a hole.
What is it?
There's a hole.
Danny does what any 13-year-old boy does and explores the random hole in the ground. It leads to an old bank vault with a Jesus jump scare, and of course our good friend, the Necronomicon. Oh god, what did they do to you? Why are you all veiny? The Necronomicon was hiding inside of a tomb? Coffin? I'm kind of unsure, but Danny brings it anyways, along with some coins and a record back up to the surface. Back up in the apartment, we meet more neighbors and discover all the service in the building has gone out. The kids come up the elevator only to get scolded by Ellie.
You never take the elevator after a quake.
Danny begins exploring the Necronomicon, which in this movie is basically just a big scary picture book. Bridget begs Danny to close it and tells him he needs to put it back where he found it. Danny reluctantly agrees to put it back in the morning, but you can bet he's going to spend all night going through it before then. Beth is practicing being a mom with Cassie while Dan plays the record he found back in the tomb. It plays some weird, growling, distorted voices, so DJ Dan plays it backwards and we get to hear some man talk about artifacts that he found, one of them being, you guessed it, the Book of the Dead, with bindings made of human flesh and its pictures drawn in blood. And hey, Ash pays us a visit to yell at us one more time, before Dan plays the record that specifically tells you not to play it unless you want to resurrect some demons. Ellie, who is very do as I say, not as I do about elevators after earthquakes, gets attacked by wires in there, which is honestly a nice change compared to the predator trees in the other Evil Dead movies. Power in the apartment goes off just in time for everyone to discover Ellie went missing. She makes her way back into the apartment and starts cooking some breakfast. God forbid a girl has a little omelet. Ellie starts telling her family about a dream that she had and casually drops that she wants to murder everybody.
I wanted to cut you all open and climb inside your body so that we could stay one happy family.
She looks around at her scared kids and sister before telling them, "It's in me," and vomiting all over the floor. She begs her sister to not let it take her babies before passing out. Danny and Beth team up to take Ellie to the hospital, only to find the stairs are completely broken, so back to the apartment they go. Neighbor number 1 and neighbor number 2 come to visit and check out what's going on, which is a lot of creepy stuff. One of the neighbors begins to pray over Ellie, who they presume is dead, before they start making some escape plans, but unfortunately they seem a little unreachable right now. Beth gets a call from Ellie from beyond the grave begging for help. She tells her that she's burning alive, but Beth declares that Ellie feels like she has a fever, so her and the kids transport their mother into the bathtub, which Ellie is obviously not liking. So much so that she decides to go full Spider-Man and walk on the ceiling to escape the water. Then she rises yet again and begins attacking Beth. This is what happens to you when you don't answer your sister's phone calls. Beth then decides to attack Bridget, claiming that she is now finally free from her parasitic children. Danny saves the day, beating his mom over the head with a chair and sending her across the room. But unfortunately, it doesn't last very long. Ellie plays an incorrect version of Eeny Meeny Miny Moe before getting interrupted by neighbor number 1. Ellie decides to attack him as punishment for his intrusion and bites his eye out of his face. She spits the eye out at Nightmare Guy, and let's hope he only got to Dream Master before all these shenanigans interrupted them. I honestly think I would rather swallow an eyeball than watch Freddy's Dead. Beth and company take this time to lock Ellie out of her apartment, and we see Ellie kill off another neighbor through the peephole. Neighbor number 2 tries to take Ellie out with a shotgun, but Deadites are kind of immune to shotguns, so it doesn't really work. Bridget confronts Danny, telling him that their mom looks like a picture from the book he stole, and blames him for their mom's deadification. Beth breaks up the fight, and Danny decides to show his aunt the book that he stole. He tells her that everything bad happened when he played the record he found, and we finally have a self-aware demon conjurer in the Evil Dead universe. Bridget decides to check out the cut that her mom left on her face, using the stove as a light. When her face starts leaking black goo, Cassie gets lured in by her mom singing outside the door. Cassie reluctantly unlocks the door, leaving just enough space for Ellie to reach in and choke Cassie. Danny and Beth save Cassie, and Beth practices her mom skills again, sending Cassie and Danny to their rooms, where they attempt to comfort each other. Back to Bridget, who is chilling out on the counter having a midnight snack of glass, which understandably creeps out Beth. She tries to escape but slips on a frying pan, getting attacked by Bridget in what is probably the best gore scene in the movie. Bridget is led back to the kids' room, where Cassie stabs her in the head, causing her to fall over onto the floor. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but whenever I'm running towards a sharp stick, I also make sure to aim it directly at my face. Danny ties Bridget up, and Beth tells Danny she wants to listen to the record that he found. She leaves Danny and Cassie alone and puts on her noise-canceling headphones to listen to the rest of the record, which seems like a pretty good idea if you ask me. The speaker on the record states that in the past, the demon possessed someone and rotted them from the inside out, similar to Ellie. They tried to contact priests to help, but to no avail. He states evil strives to create total chaos. Bridget escapes her shackles and flies at Danny full Michael Myers style, attacking him by stabbing him through the arm, and I don't know why this scene is a little bit hard to watch for me. Danny uses the oven flames to ward her off, but it's unfortunately a little bit too late for him. Ellie, using a cat for inspiration, slithers through the air vents and into Danny's bedroom. She's pretty creepy doing this, but then she eliminates all fear by pulling a stitch with the gramophone. Cassie, who has been effectively hiding under the couch this whole time, slides scissors over to her aunt, which she stabs through Ellie's face. Beth and Cassie finally decide to get out of there. She attempts to shoot the lock off to the fire escape, but everybody comes back to life in an extremely Evil Dead 2 scene.
Dead by dawn!
Beth, who's very sick of being called Bethy Boo, shoots off most of her sister's limbs as she and Cassie give the elevator a try. Danny and Bridget make their way in and start to meld with their mother, creating a really weird thing. Back to the elevator we go. But I'm not so sure about this option either, because the walls are oozing with blood, and just when things couldn't get any worse, the Deadites are breaking through the ceiling now. The elevator finally breaks open in a dark water style scene, and Beth and Cassie make their way to the parking garage of the apartment. They almost make their escape because, shockingly, unlike every other horror movie, their car does start. They just can't get out because the hole makes a shocking reappearance and traps them. This buys the Deadite monster enough time to meet them in the garage and shut the gate on them. But they pull Cassie out from under the gate just before it closes, separating the two. They snag a chainsaw and start to terrorize Cassie, but Beth breaks through the gate just in time to stop them. But what's the plan now? Hey, remember that wood chipper from earlier? Well, the Deadites do too, and they try to put Beth through it. Only Cassie turns off the machine before it's too late. The Deadites drop down onto the entrance, and Beth shoves them into it using her chainsaw, and with the help of Cassie, they get turned into Deadite bits. All except Ellie, that is, who asks for help one final time from Beth before Beth uses her chainsaw to decapitate her, turning her into the talking head. Ellie tries to get some final insults in, but Beth's not falling for the bait this time. She kicks her sister's Deadite head into the wood chipper and goes to reunite with and comfort Cassie. The two walk away from the scene, but make sure to take the chainsaw with them, for some reason. Then, in the final scene in the movie, we see a girl walking out in the very same car garage while talking on the phone to her friends while leaving for vacation. We learn that this girl is actually Jessica, you know, the girl from the beginning of the movie, and she happens upon the Deadite crime scene before being turned into a Deadite herself, before, of course, still going to meet her friends at the cabin. Now I'm really interested in seeing a Deadite road trip movie. And that is the official scale recap of Evil Dead Rise. The Scream scale right now is sitting at about a 50%, and honestly, I thought it was going to be a lot higher than that. I saw this movie in theaters when it came out, and honestly, it scared me a lot more then than it does now. Don't get me wrong, I still think Evil Dead Rise is a good movie and a really good addition to the Evil Dead universe. But honestly, after watching all the Evil Dead movies one after the other, the gore and the scares in this movie stick with me much less than the rest of the movies. And that's not to say that I think the movie is bad by any means. I still really enjoyed it upon rewatch, and like I said, I really enjoyed it the first time that I watched it. I always really appreciate the gore and the effects in the Evil Dead universe. They are always really, really good. And the acting in this movie was really good as well. And like I said a few times before, I really like the idea of putting Evil Dead in an apartment complex in the city scene rather than the forest scene that we normally see. It's really new and offers a lot of unique experiences in the movie. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of positives to this movie and I really do enjoy it, but that's my opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. And now that we've finished ranking Evil Dead Rise, that means we're done with all the Evil Dead movies. Well, except for Evil Dead Burn, but that's not out yet, so it doesn't technically count. But now I'm at a loss. What do I do now? As you guys know, I'm an Evil Dead fan, so we'll definitely be covering Evil Dead Burn in the future after that movie is released. So stick around for when that comes out, and definitely go back and check out all the other Evil Dead recaps that you missed. Alright you guys, my name is Casey. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
What's a goopy?